Ja mensen, ga er maar eens goed voor zitten. Een extra uitzending van Fortuna SC TV, waarin al onze vragen ingezonden door de fans beantwoord worden op een zeer openhartige manier door onze clubeigenaar Isitan Gun. Welkom aan deze tafel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Echt, we zijn heel blij dat je bereid bent om met ons hier wat vragen te bespreken. We hebben de vragen binnengekregen van de fans. Ze hebben hem verstuurd via Facebook, WhatsApp, mail, op diverse manieren. We hebben er een beetje, we hebben ze gegroepeerd in een paar onderwerpen. We hebben er 3 blokken van gemaakt met weer wat verschillende subblokken. En ik denk dat we er een mooie lijst van vragen hebben gemaakt en ieders vragen komen weer aan bod. We gaan beginnen met het eerste blok. Het eerste blok gaat over nieuwe investeringen. Er is een naam die de laatste tijd opduikt. Arjun Illegally. Bijna goed uitgesproken, denk ik. We gaan hem Arjun noemen in de rest van dit gesprek. En wel omdat hij ook in Turkije onder deze naam bekend is. Hij heeft namelijk een show gemaakt. Zijn eerste show droeg de naam van zijn voornaam Arjun, dus daarmee is hij ook bekend in Turkije. Ja, naast Isitan hebben we ook een nieuw gezicht aan tafel. Wibo is hier aangeschoven. Arno is een paar dagen ertussenuit. Wibo, stel je even voor aan de kijkers.
Ja mensen, ik ben Wibo Biermans, seizoenskaarthouder op Fernando Rikse. Mensen die wat activiteiten van Fortuna SC hebben bijgewoond, kennen wij misschien wel. Ik ben vrijwilliger bij Fortuna SC. En normaal gesproken loop ik achter de schermen rond en zit ik in de redactie van Fortuna SC TV. Maar vandaag dus voor de camera.
Voor de camera, oké. Nou, 3 mensen aan tafel, maar een hele mooie uitzending worden, denk ik. Zoals gezegd, de eerste vragen gaan over wellicht nieuwe investeringen. We received a lot of questions, of course, about Arjun, maybe a new partner in Fortuna Sittard. First question from Sander. How did you meet and can you indicate what kind of person he is?
First of all, Arjun is practically a household name in Turkey. Everybody knows him because he's been a very popular TV personality for many, many years. We've known each other for some time because we have many common friends. But about Fortuna, I think it was late January or early February when he casually mentioned that he's been following Fortuna and maybe it's an idea for him to also be involved in the club. But it was a casual comment and we did not pursue the idea. Then I believe in April and May, he was in the Caribbean for a TV program. Because of Corona, he was stuck there, so he had probably more time to...
In the Caribbean, not a bad place to be stuck.
Probably. So then we started to talk more seriously over the phone, and he decided to be more serious about it. So he really wanted to become a partner in the club. We had several conversations, and then as soon as the travel restrictions were lifted, we decided to meet in person. So that happened early July in Turkey. So we had a series of meetings also with his staff. So that's how it came. Regarding how what kind of a person he is very informal, easily approachable, and friendly, informal person.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, that's clear. Then we have a question sent in by Ruud Schreurs. He wants to know if Arjun will step in. For what period will it be? Will it be a short period or is it more a long time idea?
This is a question that I also received a lot since 2016, but it's been 4 years. I'm still here. Of course, the intention is to be here for the long term. You don't enter into a new venture just for a predefined period of time. So the idea is that he stays as I do for a very long time. And as soon as the philosophies, the chemistry, and the vision are parallel, I think there is no reason to set a predefined time limit on this.
Okay, and of course we did receive a lot of questions. John Buizen, Niels Loete, Marco Franse, Mark Arnst, and Kevin and Daphne, they asked what is the status of the potential deal and how does the deal look like?
Sure, it's a good question to provide some clarity. So we have an understanding in principle with Acun. However, before reaching an agreement and signing an agreement, we have to get an approval from the KNVB. So his staff and our side is also working now to complete this documentation. It's quite an extensive list of information that needs to be provided to the KNVB, and we hope to file this by early September. However, having said that, since the early days of our discussions, I always inform the KNVB saying just for being transparent, we told them we are talking to this person, this is his background. So after almost every meeting I had with him, I sent an update to the KNVB saying this is the status, these are the next steps, and so on, so that it doesn't come as a surprise suddenly that here, this is a file, just check it out.
They are informed from
They are informed, but the
official
official application for approval did not take place yet. We received already part of the documentation, so we have to finalize the file and submit it.
And in September, what can we expect then?
I don't know. Of course, I cannot speak on behalf of the regulator, but I expect a positive
green
answer.
lights, and then
there is no reason why it should not be allowed, but it's their decision and discretion. Of course, we will respect whatever they decide.
Okay, thank you.
My personal expectation is it will be a green light, obviously.
Let's see what we have. Edgar wants to know what will the future of Fortuna be if there won't be a deal, so if there won't be an external partner?
We are not desperately seeking an investment partner. As I said just before, the approach came from Acun's side. We were not seeking for an investor. So, if this is because he's coming from entertainment business, TV, and this is closely related to sports. This is the new trend in the world. Also, many entertainment groups, movie companies, media companies moving into sports. So as long as there's a good, synergy, it will work, I think. But if someone doesn't come, life goes on. We will have to continue as we have so far. But if we have some more, I think we've proven in the last 4 years that with limited resources, we can do a good job. But if we have more ammunition, I think we can do in a still careful, conservative way. We can still do. We can grow faster, to say it in plain words.
Okay, yeah, that's clear, I think. Then I've got a question from Mike and Geert Huben as well. If Acun will come, what will be his role?
This was one of the topics we obviously discussed with him, and he's very happy with the way this club is run, as far as he could observe. So obviously he's quite busy with other businesses, so he has no intention to be involved in day-to-day businesses. So our understanding is that we continue to manage the club as we have so far, and only on critical matters such as budget and main sponsorships, all these things, we will be in contact. This is his expectation, and I think it's also fits us.
So we will be, sorry for bumping in, so we will be more in the background, and you will be the guy who will be more in front like you are doing now.
Actually, our director is Ivo Fenning, so I'm not involved in day-to-day operations anymore. I come here once in a while because I enjoy it, and if there is something I can help with, I try to do this. But no, the daily operations will be run with our by our staff, the professional management, of course.
Okay, and then maybe a question, an interesting question from Gastor Bischops. He wants to know when will Mr. Illichili be introduced, and when can he be introduced to the supporters?
Yes, this is a question that also he asks every time we speak, because he's very eager to come and meet with everyone around the club. But due to the corona restrictions, he cannot do that at the moment. So as soon as the flights are open, but you have to be a resident or a citizen in order to come at the moment. So as long as this limitation is gone, he will come at the first opportunity. He looks forward to that. Yes.
Okay, I think we also look forward to that. So let's hope it won't take too long.
I hope so.
And let's have him on the show the next time.
I can suggest, no problem.
He has some television
Yes,
experience, I think. Okay, then we have a sub-block about management, facility and operations. And we received a question from Sylvester Jansen. Last few years we made a few steps. And he wants to know two things. What is the best step we took as a club, and what could have gone better?
On the first part, I think I can say this with a lot of pride, that we built a good organization, and of course people close to the club can observe this more easily, but for the outsiders, just to give you one example, I believe last November the KNVB appointed a management, outside management team for scanning the clubs, and they came here. They spent almost 2.5 months to interview everyone, check how we operate, etc. And at the end they made a presentation. I can easily say that it was one of the proudest days for me at Fortuna, because I went into that meeting with expecting a lot of criticisms and a lot of improvement points, but what they said is what they saw at Fortuna was way beyond their expectations, and they really complimented us being for such an efficient organization, doing so much work with so little number of people. And of course, led by Ivo. I always joke with him saying he's our best player, because we have a fantastic group of people at the office. They are young, very hardworking. Everyone loves the club, and very much motivated. And sometimes I talk to other club directors, etc. And I think this is something we should really be thankful for. The organization, the people are really great. On the other side, what we could have done better, I have to be honest about it, probably it's the academy. Of course, it cannot be even compared to 4 years ago. Many things, especially logistics, coordination, etc., improved, but I think we had a number of changes in the academy director position. But now I think this is the point we want to focus on, and be really a better, improved academy organization.
Okay, but that's a thing that takes time, I think.
Hope so, yes.
Then we received a question about the stadium. It's Dion Ehle, Leslie Kuppens. They want to know how it is with the development of the stadium. And the completion of the stadium, and there is something about the scoreboards and the new LED screens that they would like to know what's the status of that at the moment.
Yes, I mean, I think we need to separate it to two parts. There are things inside the stadium which are under our control that we are working, and then the surrounding area we also have some ideas. Specifically on the video walls, we already made the agreement to purchase the video walls a year ago, but then there was an incident at Alkmaar, the roof collapsed, and it's been almost a year. We are waiting for the approval from the city to be able to hang the video walls. So this is not caused by our side. So sometimes you have to depend on the regulators or approvals. So that's why there's a delay. But the scoreboards we have at the moment are not archaic. They are not Eredivisie worthy. We know this. We are ready to change it. We just wait for this approval. But regarding the surrounding area, we also have some very exciting and interesting ideas, but they are too premature to disclose at the moment. Once we have a clear go, then we will announce it, and I think it will be welcomed by our supporters a lot.
Okay. You make me curious. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Then we had a question, Boy de Kort. He wants to know how this with our field. The game against Dordrecht, he says the field wasn't looking very good. It looks like it has been temporarily be restored to get the bonus from the from the Champions League clubs, I think. But he's a bit worried about the status of the field.
That is not the case. Since I believe middle of the last season, we have a very proficient maintenance on the pitch. We were also checked by the KMVB's experts, and they gave some improvement areas which we fulfill, and we followed that pretty closely. We are happy with the maintenance now, and we expect it will be a much better situation this season. Also, now there's a longer break, which helps the roots to become stronger, etc. So hopefully we'll have a good season, decent pitch on the season.
Okay, that would be nice. Let's see, we have Ruud Schreurs. It's about the training complex. Will Fortuna ever get an own complex?
Yes, I hope so. This is already planned. I cannot disclose all the details, but we have the primary, the initial idea and the projects to do it. Right now, as you know, we are building 2 pitches in Tpuchten. This will serve the first team, but in the medium term, we want to build our own training, let's say, campus, where the first team is there, the academy is there, all the technical operations are in the same place. So we see that as a strategic priority, and we will have this hopefully in the not too long term, but in a few seasons we hope to start building it.
Okay, that's clear. Then we have Jordan Lou. He says, what is the financial situation from Fortuna after the Corona and the transfers, of course?
Yes, obviously the transfer values are depressed a bit in the whole world because of the Corona, but we managed to make 2 outgoing transfers so far. The overall financial position is, of course, Corona had it meant a lot of loss of revenue, but I think we can survive with a good as we did last year. So that we have options. But when the Corona started, we had 3 different scenarios for the coming season. We did a scenario, I'm talking about financial scenario, without fans, a season with partly with fans, and the best case scenario with the fans all season. So we have different options, and we are acting slowly and react based on the development. So, but you have to understand that transfer period can be quite unpredictable. There can be new developments every day, so you have to be deciding quick. So things might change, but overall we are not going to, again, as we did in the past, we are not going to overspend. We are very careful about what we spend.
Okay. Then there is the question Ruud Schreurs wants to know. Will Fortuna gradually increase the player budget in the coming few years? And how high is it at the moment?
The season budget is not finalized yet. I mean, we have the first draft for, as I said, we had different scenarios for a long time now, but also it will depend on the arrival of the new partner. But regardless of the scenario, of course, we increase the team budget every year gradually as much as possible. But it is a function of your revenues. So what we do is, in practice, is that we estimate or anticipate our revenues in the future for the coming season, and a certain percentage is spent on the team. This is how we do our budget. It's the, let's say, scientific way of doing a club budget. So this is how we operate. That's why it is, as long as the revenues grow, the team budget will also grow.
Okay, then received a question from Boy de Kort. I don't know where he read it, but in the Turkish league there is a financial fair play this season, he says. And according to social media, Fenerbahce is hit hard by this. And there are rumors that Fortuna will get players on our payroll who will be rent to Fenerbahce.
It is quite an absurd proposition.
Yeah.
I also read some of these things, of course. I don't follow, but I always have a friend or my mom or my sister send me these kind of things. I think the last few months, I hope it showed you that you should not rely on anything you read on social media, especially among like fan groups in Turkish social media. Of course, this is the only thing that is correct in this question is that there is a financial fair play regulation, but it's not new. It's the second year. The Turkish Football Federation imposed a spending limit for every club based on their financial statements of the past seasons. So it is also true that Fenerbahce had a severe reduction in the spending budget, but it's got nothing to do with
nothing to do with
no,
with our club.
Course,
Finales in Rotterdam en Europa Cup in Engeland en Polen. Na degradatie, promotie in Velsen, de schoonste acties
Na het eerste blok, waarin Isitan natuurlijk al heel openhartig naar ons toe geweest is, gaan we naar een blokje wat denk ik heel belangrijk is voor jullie als fans en match experience. Jullie Fortuna-fans zijn heel loyaal en natuurlijk een trots volkje. Door de jaren heen is er door een fanatieke groep fans heel hard gewerkt en gestreden om de club te redden. Iets dat ten dele gelukt is. Er is tijd gerekt, werd er zelfs al eens genoemd. De dank daarvoor die de sporters hebben gekregen is middels een zetel in de Raad van Commissarissen en het Gouden Aandeel. Er is veel respect daarvoor. Toch maakt een deel van die groep zich nu bezorgd dat de identiteit mogelijk onder druk komt te staan, waarbij het logo op het uitshirt, wat afgelopen week is gepresenteerd, als symbolisch gezien kan worden. De fans hebben daar natuurlijk ook aardig wat vragen over ingediend en die zullen we nu aan Isitan voorleggen. Isitan, the next block is about fans and match experience. You're wearing the away jersey already. A lot of questions about that came in this week. First question is from Maurice de Vries. You have invested a lot in yellow-green marketing from buses to the look and feel in around the stadium, and there has never been so much yellow and green merchandising on the market. Everyone is very grateful to you for this. Can you indicate why then this year you have chosen, or not only you, but Fortuna Sittard have chosen for the orange logo on the away jersey?
Sure. First of all, I have to say that in the past 4 years, I have never received so many positive reactions on a shirt that we introduced. So I also read all the criticism. We received also an email from TGV and UGS, also the social messages on supporters club. However, I strongly, I have to state my opinion in a very clear manner. This has got nothing to do with the club identity, and to be honest, I find this as a wrong way to put the question. So instead of asking why you put an orange logo on the away shirt, we should ask why not. Because I did a little homework. It took only 15 minutes of Google. So
you're
maybe
well prepared.
For this subject, yes, because it's an important matter that we should not avoid. So I think everyone can take this as an official answer. So in 15 minutes of Google search, this is what I found. This is Inter Milan in gold color, Arsenal in black and white, Liverpool in orange, Manchester United in grey, Paris Saint-Germain in gold, Barcelona in gold, Benfica in pink, again Manchester United in black. This is French Football Federation in black, Celtic, normally green, in black, Lille in black, Sparta in pink, there's more, Ajax in orange, Real Madrid, more Real Madrid, Bayern in red, and finally Rome in black, definitely not their colors. So I think it's clear that this has got nothing to do, unless you can say that all these clubs have no culture or they have no respect for the culture. So this is not an issue. It's only a temporary operational choice that the club has to make. And this is not going to change. Next year we might have the away shirt logo on a different color, and I see nothing wrong with this. Because I also made some other research. If we decide on the identity and if we are discussing about this, we also have to bring in attention this. Our stadium is in blue. The logo in our reception is black. This was the business seat area before we changed it to yellow and green last year. We were, I guess, red business seats. And then I looked at all the Eredivisie clubs and their stands. except for Vitesse and Feyenoord, which are multi-purpose stadiums, we are the only club where the seats are not in club's colors. So these are permanent fixtures which should be discussed more, and I appreciate the protectionism a lot, but it's got the club culture lies in these, not in the away shirt logo. So I think this is a clear situation. I don't think people should be concerned. If anyone doesn't like the away shirt, they just don't buy it. But this is not an opportunity to discuss if there's a cultural change and all these, in my opinion, absurd discussions.
So it's just a matter of taste?
Absolutely. And I also looked at how many away shirts we sold in the past 3 seasons. Last year we sold 239, the year before 208 or 209, and the year before 230. So I claim, I hope we do the program again next year. I think this year we will outsell all of these, because especially the young supporters are very much in favor of this. Also the players and the staff. So I think it's an exaggerated discussion point, but our position is clear.
Okay, thank you for the very clear answer. It's, by the way, a nice list of clubs to be in, if we can be compared with all those big clubs. Yeah, as I said, it's a matter of taste, I think, but it's good that you clearly stated that we don't have to have any concerns about changing the identity of the club or whatever, and maybe even in future you might think about changing the stuff that you mentioned, which are around the stadium. It's still in different colors. Yes,
no, as you know, the business seats we changed to green and yellow, but I also would like to change. Maybe we can start a fan action and to change also the regular seats from blue to our something that really fits us. For me, this is more important than this. And also to maybe conclude this discussion, it's also got nothing to do with the golden shares. The golden shares, as far as I know, lie with the stock and the supporters, the SA, and we completely respect the rights vested in those shares. So it's for me, it's also a not very sensible discussion, to be honest.
Okay, thank you for stating that out, because indeed Fortuna SC put on a statement this week as well about the golden share, which we had contact about with Fortuna. So I think that's now clear, yes. And I think for now on the table we can end this discussion. Thank you very much. Next question, I think you answered already, was from Ivo Kersten about putting back the original logo on the away jersey. I think that's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Okay. Leslie Cuppens, maybe a bit different question, but it's linked. Will Fortuna's image change with the collaboration with Agun?
I mean, it's a bit obscure question, but a good question.
Don't shoot the messenger.
No, like what is Fortuna's image? Then we have to first define that, or what is any club's image? Image is something reflected on the minds of the perceiver, not necessarily the image that you would like to give. So I do not think that there is a possibility to change the image or the culture of a club, or let's say the DNA of a club, that easily, first of all. And there is no intention to do it, because there is no point in trying to do these things. You know, clubs are very long living organizations. So I think I respected the club's culture as much as I could. And I think any smart person would also do the same, because it's clubs are living for hundreds of years, where it will continue to exist after us. So there is no need to try to artificially change. There's no point in doing this. So I don't think it serves any purpose, and I don't see a risk in that.
Okay, thank you very much. Nancy, a question about the golden share. What's being done to protect the club's identity so that the supporters don't lose their commitment? We talked about it already. You gave some answers, but I have the feeling now, talking with you about it, that you are really somebody who really wants to know the involvement about the golden share and really wants to keep that in place as well.
Of course, that's very clear. But also we have to look. I'm not in a position to complain. You know, I'm the chairman of this club, and my job is to make sure we deliver a club, we present a club that our supporters are proud of. I have to say that our image, this is my personal observation, maybe you agree, maybe you do not agree, but our image perceived as other club fans is more positive, sometimes I feel, than what our supporter base think. So we must be really proud of the club, of the job we are doing, and show our commitment. Now, I do not want to mention a club name, but there was a club in Eredivisie last year who had 4 times more than budget we had, and they ended only 2 points above us. Now, is it a sportive failure? Yes, I think so, because there's this very strong correlation between your budget and the points you can collect in the long run. So if I wasted 28 million euros of club budget and delivered such a poor performance, I would probably be protested. But what happened in that club, for example, the day they went for season card sales, they had 8,000 people buying. So this is also commitment. This is also a club culture. So this is the normal way, by the way. In most clubs in the world, the fans push the organization to go higher. But for some reason, sometimes I get the feeling that we are more concentrating and focusing on the negative things or potential negative things, and discuss for days about these things instead of seeing the positive things and really pushing the people, motivating the people to go higher. So there's more discussion in, sometimes I encounter also online, that what is wrong instead of what is right. So it's like a glass.
Yeah, I think you're giving a nice message to our fan base, to our supporters. Giving criticism is okay, but I think at least the words you're saying, and I'm looking now into the camera, to all the fans, guys, please be positive and send out a positive message towards the organization as well, to make sure that we push up higher and give our positive energy as fans in towards the organization. Yes,
and our staff, I think this was one of the major changes since I came in, because there was a mentality of we are Fortuna. This is one, if I say I dislike one sentence that I've been hearing for the last 4 years, this is the sentence, we are Fortuna. No, we are Fortuna. You know, we are proud to be Fortuna and we are better than the others. This you have to believe. Otherwise, oh, we are Fortuna, we cannot do this, we cannot do that, we cannot sign that player. These are very unproductive thoughts, which is not helping anything. So I think it's time that we can really be comfortable with who we are, what we are, and what we can achieve. I checked a few weeks ago the attendance numbers in Eredivisie from way back. In 1980, okay, it's a long time, I was 5 years old, but we had the 5th or 4th, I believe 5th, largest attendance in this country in terms of stadium attendance. Now this doesn't go away. This spirit doesn't die. So we have to be back there, you know, like every game that we have must be packed. This is something, because we have the lowest, it's not an economic issue. I know the region's realities, etc. But we must be full, sold out every game, as some clubs do, who fail over and over again. You know, we are doing a good job, so it must be also appreciated, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. I think, guys, take the message, and we'll make sure we get the stadium packed as soon as we can. But that's another subject we come on later. There was one question from John Herberichs to close off this part. It's also about the social support, where we talked about, for a club like Fortuna, a lot about complaining supporters, But within Fortuna, we have different supporters groups, including Fortuna SC. You mentioned UGS already and TGV. Shouldn't they work more closely together instead of criticize each other and work on their own based on its own character? Should they join forces a bit more?
I mean, for this, I'm not involved party, so I can only give my observation and what I seen in my experience. First of all, I do think that having different supporters clubs is a very healthy thing for a club and the stands in general. There are many countries where you have some clubs, you have dozens of different fan clubs between, according to their background, education, political view, you name it. So these are all fine, and I think it's a healthy thing. But to have one group, homogeneous, is not a healthy thing in the long run. However, having said that, you have to leave your differences behind for the good of the club, because we are all there for the club. So I don't see sometimes this is a people's business. So sometimes you have egos, sometimes you have personal disagreements, whatnot. But we should leave them behind and try to do good for the club. This is the only opinion I can provide. And I hope I'm not aware of any frictions among different clubs, but we are in an equidistance to all these different clubs. As long as they work for the good of the club, we will only support the supporters club.
Okay, thank you very much. Those were the questions about fans, identity, logo, and the golden share. It was a heavy topic for some fans, but I hope your answer cleared it out for them and took away some negative points they have. Then we go to the match experience during COVID-19. It will change day by day, I'm sure. But some questions about how to visit the games came up. Erwin, Leslie, Nico, Mo, and Wendy asked some questions about it. I will try to combine them. How will the home games be completed in terms of spectators? What does Fortuna arrange in terms of audience at league matches? How many supporters are allowed in the stadium, and how will this be arranged? For example, upcoming is the match against VVV Venlo. How will that look like? Will there some changes be in the catering? Will there be beer? Will there no beer? And then the last question about this was, even there's talked about a smoking ban. I don't even know if it's linked with the COVID-19, but that question came in. What can you tell us about that?
I can start with the smoking part. First of all, this is not a new rule. It was introduced before last season, and as far as I know, it was only implemented by two clubs, PSV and Almere City.
I think even Vitesse Arnhem. I think that one was
maybe I will check. But this year there's a change, and that I believe towards the end of August there will be a collective statement from all clubs, Eredivisie, Eerste Divisie, and the KNVB, that there will be no more smoking in the stands allowed. So this is, I don't know if it's linked to COVID situation, but it's now becoming effective, so that I can confirm. Regarding the home games, as you know, the KNVB published a very detailed protocol, so our people concerned are working on it, how to implement those guidelines. But it is also still, there is a difference in terms of how these rules are implemented from city to city. What I saw at Twente last week was much different than probably what we will see in Venlo, because also the city government, the safety, regional safety office, they have different requirements. They may have different requirements. So there are intensive discussions going on. There were some meetings yesterday. There are some meetings today. But in any case, we will make an official announcement which will cover how the rules will be applied in the home games. in the coming period, how the catering will be organized. So all these will be clearly communicated by the club early week.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, let's see how it goes day by day. I think even each match could have different rules.
Also, I think in Germany and Belgium they said now no fans until October, so things may change depending on the COVID situation.
Okay. To the fans at home, stay safe, and let's hope that we all can be in the stadium as soon as possible. There was one personal question from Claudia. It's also linked to the COVID-19, but this is a special situation. Her daughter has an anxiety disorder, which she's also be treated for. And last year she couldn't come because she didn't dare to step into the stadium because of that. And she's now afraid that with the COVID-19 she cannot sit next to her mother, and she won't be able to attend any of the Fortuna Sittard games. Will there be some special things for these exceptions, or will it be one rule?
No, we are very clear about this. I think there was an article in the newspaper that the clubs in Limburg will have a certain position, but it was incorrect except when it came to our position. We are trying to make sure, if allowed by the local and concerned authorities, to make sure that people coming from the same household will sit together. I saw this also at Twente. You know, if we are living in the same apartment, we drive with the same car, and it's a bit absurd that we have to sit apart when you are in the stands, and then you leave together again in the same situation. So this is our position. If the local authorities agree, people coming from Claudio then will be able to sit next to her daughter. So this is the situation, but it's not up to us. Our preferences is clear.
Okay, thank you very much, and good luck with all the arrangements around COVID-19. I can imagine a lot about it is going on within the club. A lot of extra work is coming your way. Yes. These were the questions about fans and match experiences. We'll be back shortly, and then Maurice will talk about Selection 2021 and the Youth Academy with Isitan.
Het seizoen komt eraan. Er zijn al een paar oefenwedstrijden gespeeld. Afgelopen 2 jaar hebben we ons met veel moeite en creatief omgaan met budget weten te handhaven. Het is altijd wel spannend, maar er wordt altijd gedacht dat het gunstiger zou zijn om eerder de spelers bij elkaar te hebben. En Georges Olté heeft ook laten weten dat er nog enkele bepalende en scorende spelers bij moeten. Volgende blokje gaan we daar verder op in. So Isitan, something about the coming season. We got a question from Eddie Hansen. He says, what's the goal for Fortuna this year and what are the possibilities on the transfer market?
Every year we try to get better in the ranking from the past year. So this is, of course, this is our objective also. In going into the new season. So every year I think we learn more and adapt. So this year we are going, maybe people might think we are going too slow, but I'm also following the other clubs, so everyone is in the same position. So we know our positions that we would like some improvement in. So we have been working since let's say April about certain names, and when the time comes, if it works for all the parties involved, so in a transfer there are either 3 or 2 parties. If the player is free, you have only the player to talk with. If there's another club involved, then you have 3 parties to agree on. So it's a process. It's not easy, but I think we are doing a good job, and I expect a good squad that will be, how should I put it, exciting in the new season.
Okay, that's a good thing to hear. Then we have a question, Leslie Kuppens. Here's a question about player we contracted last week, I think, Actas.
Yes.
He was contracted by Fortuna and directly he goes on loan to Dordrecht.
Yes.
He wonders if it costs money for our player budget for Fortuna.
Yes, it does.
Okay, that's clear. It does.
But you have to understand one thing. We had some players, for example, in the last season. I'm not a technical person, but I'm just saying this from a management perspective. There is a group of players that every club has that are promising, but not yet good enough for the first team, especially if you are in the top division. So there has to be. It's quite a big advantage if you have a place for these players to play games. The most important factor in the development of a player is to play, how many games he had. So for this, I think this is a good opportunity because Özgür has some potential. Look, I've been a football fan all my life, so I know it's easy to look in retrospect and say, "Oh, who signed this player?" There's a good saying in English: "Success has many fathers, but failure is an orphan." So when and in transfers, you have to take into account your know-how, your experience, and at the end, it's a group of people who decide, "Okay, let's sign this player. Let's not sign this player." You cannot be 100% accurate. There is no club in the world who can be right on every player signing because sometimes a player can be a failure in one club and then he can star in another club. There are many factors, and there will never be a time when all of your signings are a success. So we have to. This is the nature of football, because otherwise, guys with the endless pockets will always win. They are now winning, but even among them, it can change. Look what Atalanta did this year, for example. So there are outliers, and it's a combination of factors. So some players that we sign, we will not be happy with at the end. But you have to take the chance. It's a calculated chance. If you are right 51% of the time, that's good.
Okay, and then Leslie Kuppen has another question as well. He has a question about two players coming back from a loan. It's Lisandro Semedo and Vidigal. What is the status of those two players?
Yes, Andre Vidigal is back. I saw him today. Yes, he's with the squad. He has his contract with us, so he's part of the team. Lisandro also has a contract ongoing. He was on loan. As you know, he had a fantastic first half of the season in Greece. He was chosen the best player of the league. And if you remember, he was chosen the best player when we promoted in what was then called Jupiler League. Yes, so he has a lot of potential, but there's also clubs who are interested in him. So, but we have to make a decision regardless of the options. But he is our contracted player. He is, in my opinion, he's a fantastic player. So we will see. Maybe there might be a move to another club, or if not, he's our contracted player. He will come back and play.
Okay, that's clear. Then we have Jos Frissen. He wants to know if there will be coming more players and what is the club thinking about. I think maybe you can mention a name, maybe not.
In terms of player names?
Yes.
Well, I usually hear the names when it comes to the. I don't have the full list of players that the technical staff is working on, But yeah, we are close to finalizing a few signings, which I believe will be welcomed by the supporters. Yes.
Okay.
The positions are clear. I think Shores made the point. So, I mean, I'm not a technical person, but the way I see it, our defense line is pretty solid. Rota is an amazing player, right back position, left back position, defense. As a fan, I like what I'm seeing. So we need more power probably in the front, and it will be done.
Okay, thank you. Then we have Guido. He mentioned names of two players. Seuntjes and Beyen are great players. Do these come from the Turkish network? And how does that work? How do you come in contact with these players?
Yes, we've been following them for a while. And in the case of Seuntjes, as you know, he came from AZ. And he did not get too many minutes, I believe, in Turkey, but he has great potential. So, yeah, we got into contact with him, his agent, and yeah. So I think we have more or less, and I think his club today announced that he is released. So hopefully we can conclude. We are in advanced discussions to finalize these two signings. Yes, but how do they come? As any transfer, you know, we watch, we scout, we track many players already. The moment the season starts, we start our work for the next season. So we already work on names and with alternatives. So if one works, fine. If it doesn't, you move down on the list. This is how all the transfers are made. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a little smile around your mouth when you talked about Seuntjes, and I think that name made a lot of fans smile and surprised a lot of fans that a player from his caliber probably or maybe will sign for Fortuna Sittard, and I think that shows what you said before, that Fortuna is really making steps towards the future.
Of course, then you have to. It's not always easy to convince players, especially Dutch players, to convince them to come here. But now it's slowly changing because you can see that people inside football see what's happening. That, you know, players from us can take the next step to Feyenoord or to France, to important clubs. So players also appreciate this. So it was a much more difficult job, I have to say, 2 years ago than it is today. So it's a momentum thing, you know, like the more success you have, it becomes easier to convince these kind of players, and it will follow, I hope. Yeah.
Okay, we had a few questions about the players to come, but not unimportant, maybe very important for a football club, such as some Dutch clubs, AZ, Sparta. They have a very beautiful and effective academy. Yeah, comparing to these clubs, but you already mentioned that was one of the things that could be better. But one of the questions from Ralf Jacob says, where do we want to go with our academy? And then it's what is our ambition? And what do you expect results from the academy?
Yes. First of all, I think I said this before, but in terms of the percentage of your budget spent on the academy, we are doing much higher than many clubs. So this is quite important. But because our general budget is not near the average, it's still a lower number. But this, I think, is a good indicator of how much we value the academy. So among these clubs, I'm not in a position to comment on different clubs, but I think it's a fact that AZ has in the world the most homegrown players in the first squad. They are ahead of Ajax, ahead of Barcelona, all the teams, Benfica, etc. So in football, they have most players from the academy. But I know AZ's story quite well. They started 7 years ago. So they started this transformation period 7 years ago, with a heavy emphasis on digitalization of their academy operations and so on. So it's not easy. It takes time, and now they are starting to reap the benefits. You see last year AZ and the outgoing transfers, the team quality and so on. So it's not going to happen overnight, but we have to embark on a very ambitious program and do this. We discussed this in the earlier section, but it's also a part of the accommodation is important for this. Then we have to reach the first national status of in the academies. There's a legal categorization, so that's the next step. This is our priority, and after that we want to improve, hopefully. But the way people view academies, I think we need to make a clarification. Even in, let's say, the Liverpool academy, out of 1,000 players, only 2 make it maybe to the first team. So 998 guys are eliminated. So when you look at this from this perspective, the academies are, even the most successful academies are not meaningful. However, academies also serve a very important social factor. So because every boy in the academy has at least 15, 20 people around him who are linked to the club. So we have to make sure that that social bondage is reinforced, and then of course have also good citizens. They don't have to become professional football players, but every boy who goes to our academy must be an exemplary citizen with good values, sporting and for life. So these are all things that we are also taking into account.
Clear answer. I have one more question about the academy. It comes from Jacques Koenen. I think you already mentioned a lot of things, but there is one thing maybe. He's wondering, why are we going to Buchten and not in Sittard? Wasn't there a possibility in Sittard?
This is something that, it's not a simple question, and the answer is also even more complicated than the question. So let me end it there, because our plans are not crystallized and solidified yet, where it will be. So when you look at, first of all, if you are planning a new accommodation, you have to have a certain size. You have to make sure the permitting, etc., are manageable. And it should also be a financially feasible situation. Now, there is no, as far as I know, in recent times, there are no clubs in the world who actually buy the land and build the accommodation, because then it becomes financially crazy. It may, depending on where you are, it may become a financially unachievable situation. So there are all these factors that's why local governments come into play. Even I always give this example, but when Abramovich took over Chelsea, the City of London gave him 400,000 square meters of land for free. Now, I guess Abramovich has some money to buy that land, but still, I believe that local entities should appreciate more what the local club mean to their society, not only for social links, but also economically. We have every 2 weeks, we create something for the economy also. So there is a value attached to it. There's a tax value, there's employment value, all of these things. So some cities, I'm not talking for Netherlands, but all around the world, some cities appreciate and put more value to this sports in general. Some don't. So
I understand Sittard doesn't do.
No, I'm not saying that. We have a very good relationship, and it's. I have to say it improves every day. And but there can be a much better collaboration.
Yeah, let's see what happens with the recent change of the mayor. Maybe that has some positive influences on on Fortuna Sittard, but good to hear that the cooperation with the government is improving, because I think that was a concern or a criticism out of the fans as well the last couple of years, but good to hear that that's improving. Well, Isitan, we're almost at the end. First of all, thank you for your passionate, enthusiastic and especially open way of talking about Fortuna. I think we can talk about it for days with you. But we want to ask you some personal questions as well. We talked a lot about Fortuna, so now it's a bit on who is Isitan. We received a couple of questions, and there was one question from James Stewart Todd. He wanted to know if you ate the haggis he gave you and how did it taste?
Yes, I'm familiar with the haggis tradition. It's a great Scottish ritual, or it's called a tradition. So yes, I did. So I would like to thank our friend Bod, who is a loyal, very loyal Fortuna supporter from Glasgow, right? Yes. Yeah.
Good to hear. Okay, Sander Doles. And I will combine that with a dilemma we have for you. Sander wants to know, when are you coming back for a beer in town? And is it then beer or wine?
I am a beer person compared to wine, but I also like wine. I think but if you gave me just 2 drinks on a hot day like this, I would go for the beer. But I had beer in market yesterday, so I don't miss any chances to have a beer.
Maybe Sander didn't see you then. Sander, he will be back soon, I'm sure about that. If I'm well informed, you're living in Amsterdam, in our capital. How's life about there?
Great. I mean, it's it's obviously more crowded, but coming from Istanbul, it's a very quiet town for us, so we enjoy it very much. The kids are happy. Yes, we are happy.
Okay, and is it then Amsterdam, Istanbul, or Sittard?
Very good question. I mean, I grew up in...
Let's skip Sittard. Is it Amsterdam or Istanbul? Maybe that makes the question
that
easier.
That I can say. Of course, I grew up in Istanbul. I have many memories in the forming years. But it's a very crowded city, and I think it's quite difficult to live there. So I personally don't look forward to when I go for business or to visit the family. I realize, I say to myself, except for your good friends and family and the food, I don't really miss it that much living in Istanbul. I think it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world, but just the efficiency is quite low because there's just too much people, and it can become difficult. But I also spent 10 years in the US, and I feel among these like I really like New York, and I also see it as my hometown. So it's hard to define. But many years ago, since we were moving a lot, I always think that it's how you live rather than where you live.
Why did you choose Amsterdam and not Sittard?
It was our children go to the French school, and the French École Française is in Amsterdam and then Den Haag. So we had to. Otherwise, of course, our natural choice would be this area.
Okay. And talking about your family with the COVID-19 situation. Is your family doing well, even here in Amsterdam and back home in Turkey? Everybody healthy?
Yes, luckily I had an uncle several months ago. He's 75. He had COVID. He was in intensive care for 10-11 days, but he survived. So yeah, we are all good shape. My grandmom, she's 91, but she stays home. So yes, it's good.
That's good to hear. That's I think with all that we talked about, I think that's the most important thing in life.
Of course.
Staying healthy with your family. One more dilemma for you. Baklava or Limburgse vlaai?
Was it St. Augustine who said, when in Rome, act as Romans do? So when I'm here, of course, it's the fly, but if I'm in Turkey, I have baklava. I wouldn't. Why not? Both.
That's always the good
I'm a
choice.
sweet tooth. I love dessert, so I can eat. Yeah, the quantity I will not mention this, but I can eat a lot of desserts.
Okay, Isitan, to end it off, we have one comment from Jos Schmetz, and I really want to pronounce that to you. Hi, sir. At first, I want to give you very big compliments for the way you run the Club Fortuna Sittard till now. I hope that your dreams will come true, so that whole of the Fortuna Sittard family can grow bigger than they are now. I wish you all the success you need.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I think that's, Jos, thank you very much. I think that's a nice compliment to end off this special episode of Fortuna SC TV. Isitan, thank you very much.
Thank you. I also
being
thank
on
for
show.
the compliments, but I have to say I'm not alone. Everybody who was on the board is currently on the board. All the office personnel, all the technical staff, everybody. It's a team effort. So we are. I always like to say that Fortuna is a club of good people, and I think we have that sense of feeling. And then you will sometimes have rough days, sometimes have better days, but we go together as a family.
Okay, nice way to finish off. I'll switch to Dutch now, to our viewers. Ja mensen, dit was de derde aflevering van Fortuna SC TV.
Ja, en dat was zeker niet de laatste. We gaan weer verder op woensdag 26 augustus. Voor aanvang van de wedstrijd tegen VVV gaan we iets heel speciaals doen. We gaan namelijk echt live. We gaan de wedstrijd tegen Twente nabeschouwen en we gaan voorbeschouwen de wedstrijd tegen VVV. En dat doen we met iemand die echt verstand heeft van voetbal. Dat is Lars Peters, oud jeugdspeler bij Fortuna. Diverse vertegenwoordigende teams doorlopen. En hij is momenteel trainer van Swantebolt uit Limburg. Hij zal bij ons aan de tafel plaatsnemen. Dus zet hem in je agenda, 26 augustus, 6:15.
Nou, Maurice, dankjewel.
Ja, Wiebo, nieuw gezicht aan tafel, heel leuk. Isitan, thank you for being here. It was a very nice and good interview, I think. I think the fans appreciate that you're so open
Thank
to
you
them.
for having me. Thank you for having me, yes.
Oké, mensen, fans, bedankt voor het kijken en tot de volgende keer. Tot de volgende Fortuna SC TV.